going to the movies was a big deal to me as a kid. We would only really go on special occasions like birthdays or holidays or as a reward of some kind. So on average, I'd see about 4 to 5 movies a year. When I was 14, I would go to the movies more times than I had ever gone before. All in the summer of 2011. It was June 2011, and I was finishing up 8th grade. I was finishing a middle school. And everybody was congratulating me. Everybody in my family was giving me like cards, money, gift cards, like congratulations. And my sister had also just finished school. She finished high school in May. She already graduated. And I remember going to her ceremony and listening to her, talking to her friends, and they were all reminiscing about like all the fun times they had, and it got me excited. Like, oh, I'm gonna be going into high school. Me and my friends are gonna, you know, start hanging out. There's probably gonna be like memories of my own. You know, like we're gonna be making our own memories, and I just got excited that like, oh, I feel like I'm gonna be an adult. You know. But then my mom told me, "Oh, you're not going to the high school that you're supposed to be going to. You know, you're not going to that high school. You're not going to the other high school. You're going to a brand new charter high school that is just gonna open up." And I wasn't gonna know anybody there. There was gonna be a uniform. And I was just not happy about that. Like, oh. On top of that, I had to go to summer school. There was a math enrichment program at the city college, uh, so I'd have to be going there. It was from Monday to Thursdays. It was 7 in the morning to like 4 in the afternoon. They would send out like a crazy amount of homework, like 100 math problems for homework. And my last day of school was Thursday, June 9th. And I was starting this summer school on Monday, June 13th. So I only had 3 days, technically, of like a vacation, of a break. My family was leaving for Oxnard. There was also like some other relatives who were having their graduation, and we were going to be going during that weekend. And I was ready to tell my parents like, I don't want to go. I don't want to spend one day on the road, one day there, and then one day going back on the road, coming back home. Like, I don't want my 3 day weekend, my 3 day vacation, to be spent doing that. Like 2 days on the road and just one day like running around. Like, oh, we got to get to so and so's place, and we got to get seats or whatever. So I was ready to convince my parents like, I don't want to do that because I'm starting summer school for you guys on Monday, and they were okay with that. They were like, okay, fine, you can stay by yourself for 3 days. So that's what I did. I graduated on June 8th, and the very next day was my last day of school. So after school, I treated myself to a movie. I went to the movie theater, and I saw X-Men First Class, which is the first X-Men movie I ever saw. This one definitely got my attention because it was set in the 60s. It was a prequel. I don't have to have seen anything before. And it was directed by Matthew Vaughn, who at the time had just directed my favorite movie at the time, Kick-Ass. So I decided to go check it out, and I really enjoyed it, and it got me interested in the other X-Men movies and some of the comics, and it also does a good job of like mixing its fiction, its story with real world events. Obviously, it's set in '60s and talks about the Cuban Missile Crisis and mixes its own story of Charles Xavier Magneto meeting against like that kind of background. So I just really liked that movie, and I especially liked the portrayal of Xavier and Eric. I thought it was great. I think even in all the movies, all the sequels that followed, they were my favorite. They were always my favorite characters in the movies. Both Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen, or Fassbender and McAvoy. They were always my favorite. I think they were always the strongest thing in all the movies, good or bad. Like, they were great. I also really like the score, Henry Jackman's score. I think this is the movie that definitely got me interested in him, and a lot of his other soundtracks I've also really loved. So as soon as I got home, I found it on YouTube. I just started listening to the whole thing over. It was also when I started getting more into like movie scores and listening to that. So this is definitely a big movie or an important movie for me because of that, and it's definitely one of my favorite X-Men movies. On the morning of June 10th, my parents and my sister left in the morning, and I had the whole house to myself, so I just decided to enjoy myself. I played my music that I loved. I started playing that really loud. I was listening to a lot of Lionel Richie and a lot of David Bowie at the time, who I still love. I would watch episodes of like Scrubs or How I Met Your Mother. Those were the two shows I was really into at the time, and I was like, finally I can watch them without having an adult be like, what is that? What are you watching? What are they talking about? You know. I had money. I had all this money from like gifts or from graduation, so I thought like, oh, I'm gonna go to McDonald's. I'm gonna go out. We had a McDonald's around the corner from my house, basically. It was like a block away. So I just had fun. I wasn't totally unsupervised. My aunt lived next door to us, so she would just come in and check in on me like once in a while. Like, you okay? You want some food? You want to go out to dinner? And she actually offered to take me to the movies. So I went back to the movie theater. Not the 10th, but the 11th. I went back the next day, and we saw Super 8. Super 8 just might be the most important movie I saw that summer, if not the whole year. It's a group of kids who are trying to make a movie. They're out late one night on a train station filming for it, and they witness a train crash. A truck drives on to the tracks and collides with this oncoming train. Big explosion, big mess, they're freaking out. But it looks like there was something on that train, something it was carrying, that is now set loose. Strange things start happening in their small town, and they're trying to figure out, hey, maybe we caught something on film on our camera, so let's try to figure this out. It's a J.J. Abrams movie. I think it's the best one he's done, but it's also heavily influenced by Spielberg and a lot of his movies, like Close Encounters and E.T. All that stuff is there, but I think this movie also has a very strong connection to Don Coscarelli's Phantasm. In Super 8, the main character of Joe, he has just lost his mom in a terrible accident, and he spends the whole movie still dealing with that grief, with the fact that she's gone. And that definitely seems to be the theme of the movie, is grief, is loss. Very similar to the main character in Phantasm, Mike, who has lost both his parents and has also uncovered this sinister plan that's being carried out by this mysterious Undertaker, the Tall Man. Much like X-Men First Class, it's set in the 60s. Super 8 is set in the 70s, and I love that. I love seeing the kids' rooms with all their movie posters, all the collectibles or toys, the 70s memorabilia, specifically 70s. I just love. It's so cool to me. Pretty much any movie that's not set in the current decade, I love. So I really also love the kids. They're very funny, even though they constantly argue with each other. They stick by each other through everything that happens. I really love the story. I love the kids. I love the direction. Super 8 is a movie that definitely inspires that kind of creativity. And me being a young filmmaker, wannabe filmmaker, I had my own camera. It just inspired me. Like, I want to make my own movies like that. On Sunday, my vacation was pretty much over. I knew my parents were on their way home. They were going to go home like 6 in the evening. I was going to have to start school, summer school the next day, and yeah, there was just nothing I could really do about it. But then I remembered that I had a lot of gift cards, those movie theater gift cards. So then I started thinking, I made a deal with my parents. I told them, hey, I'm going to go to summer school. I'll go. I'll stop complaining. I won't give you a hard time if I can go to the movies every weekend. There's about a new movie coming out every week, and that's what I wanted to do. I'll go to school, but every weekend I was going to go to the movies. And I told them, you don't have to pay for anything. I have a lot of gift cards. I got like 3 $25 gift cards and like a $50 one. I also had a lot of money, a lot of cash. The movie theater was in walking distance, like 15 minutes away from the house. I can walk that. You don't even have to take me. That's what I wanted to do. That's what I told them. And they thought, okay, fine. We can do that. So the next movie I saw was Green Lantern. Green Lantern is not a great movie. At the very best, at its best, it was meh. It was okay. But I still watch it to this day. I'm not gonna defend it, you know. But the reason I still like it, I still watch it, is because it reminds me of that time. It reminds me of that summer. It reminds me of June 2011. These 3 movies, X-Men First Class, Super 8, Green Lantern, I watch them every summer, every June, on their respected dates. Because they remind me of that time. I think movies are like time capsules. If you watch them at the right point, at the right time in your life, they'll mean the world to you for the rest of your life.